Chicago gangs have a long and complex history, shaped by the city's rapid growth, economic inequality, and racial tensions. From their early roots in immigrant neighborhoods in the late 19th century to their rise during Prohibition, Chicago's gangs evolved into powerful organizations by the mid-20th century. Notable groups like the Black Disciples have become notorious for their involvement in illicit activities, drug trafficking, and violent turf wars. Primarily based in neighborhoods on the south and west sides, the Black Disciples maintain a strict hierarchical structure and are tied to a broader network that extends beyond Chicago. Their influence has been amplified by the rise of drill music, which has brought their identity more into the national spotlight.
How'd you feel when you died?
I ain't even gonna lie, for that was like a celebration on King David.
Oh, you're a demon.
I'll never forget that, for that was a celebration, for
Yeah?
I was happy, for
Really?
on my dead, I was happy, for I did not cry, for
Not you damn near cried.
I was on King Day. Hold on.
Chapter 1. Englewood. Englewood is a neighborhood and community area located on the south side of Chicago. It is also the 68th of the 77 community areas in the city. In the year 1885, the first African Americans moved into the Englewood community around the intersection of 67th and Racine in Ogden Park. African Americans had some rights to this area because it was part of an old underground railroad site during the slavery days. In the 1950s, there was a contested and growing African American community in the Englewood and northern Hyde Park areas. African Americans resided in Hyde Park in the older section of the community north of 55th Street now that the area was more affordable for struggling African American families. Many landlords purchased large mansions in the community and converted them into tenement apartments that were affordable. This upset the southern Hyde Park, mostly white, wealthier elites residing south of 55th Street. African American gangs started to form in Englewood during these times due to racial issues and discriminations. African American youths found themselves harassed and beaten constantly by white gangs as they were attacked in school and on the streets. This treatment prompted the formation of the Egyptian Cobras and Devil's Disciples that would fight these gangs known as the Greasers. Disciples and Cobras absorbed any African American gangs that already existed on these streets, bringing them into one unity.
Violence and murder are common among the teenage street gangs. In Chicago, 29 young persons have been killed in youth gang murders since January 1st. One gang, the Blackstone Rangers, is said to be responsible for nearly half of those killings. ABC's Hugh Hill takes a look at the violence there in this special report from Chicago.
On a warm summer evening, the soul music drifts up from the streets of the ghetto and rolls along the L tracks above 63rd Street. This is the heart of Woodlawn on Chicago's South Side. In this sprawling black neighborhood, street gangs have developed into a powerful force. These are the Blackstone Rangers with their red berets. Their marks of identification are everywhere. They make claim to their turf and control it with violence and bloodshed. The young man I'm talking to is a victim of gang shooting. We've concealed his identity for his own safety.
But why do you lead this kind of a life? I mean, why do you have to shoot each other all the time?
Well, see, in the black neighborhood, the people there, they wants to be leaders, and, like, we don't have no black president. We got black gangsters and all this. So that's all our children know of, is this violent thing.
And you kill each other.
Well, the well, we have a minority that kill each other. We have a majority that don't.
The founding members of the Devil's Disciples included David Barksdale, Richard Strong, Prince Old Timer, Kilroy, Leonard Longstreet, among others. By the beginning of 1961, David Barksdale, also known as King David, took sole leadership of the Devil's Disciples and appointed different members to oversee various areas within the neighborhoods. In the year 1963, the Devil's Disciples moved their headquarters into Englewood at 63rd and Normal/Stewart. Barksdale's goal was to claim small gangs around the area and turn them into factions of the Disciples. In 1966, in order to help increase recruitment and counteract threats from other gangs, David Barksdale created the Black Disciples Nation, which helped boost recruitment numbers into the thousands. In 1969, Larry Hoover, the leader of rival gang Gangster Disciples, agreed to a merger with Barksdale to create a unified gang called the Black Gangster Disciples Nation. After the Black Gangster Disciples was formed, the two groups heavily dominated the neighborhood as they both were engaging in violent gang wars with Black P. Stones. In the 1980s, drug profits became a heavy focus for Englewood gangs as killing over drugs plagued these streets. Black Disciples and Black Gangster Disciples mostly got along in the early 1980s and were able to make money on the streets without conflicting with each other. However, the peace would only be temporary as internal problems started to arise. In the year 1987, Englewood Black Disciples and Black Gangster Disciples began to have trouble coexisting as incidents of violence between the two folk allies became more frequent and intense. In 1989, a temporary yet unforgettable war happened between these two, which caused many young BGDs to refer to themselves only as Gangster Disciples, dropping the letter B from their name.
In fact, they say it was here at the Vienna State Prison in Illinois that the 21st Century Vote Political Committee was conceived by the acknowledged leader of the Gangster Disciples, convicted murderer Larry Hoover. He discussed his plans to acquire political power in a monitored telephone conversation 2 years ago.
See, the vote is the most important. What they fear more than anything is our political power. All we got to do is put our program together, follow our program. That's my main focus right there. And stop these kids from hurting each other out there.
The kids Hoover referred to, gang members involved in a vicious gang war. Hoover had publicly called for a gangland truce, but the Chicago gang war has actually escalated. Gang-related killings are up 150% over this time last year. And much of the violence, according to police, stems from the Gangster Disciples' own drug-dealing activity, which they say Hoover himself continues to control.
The 1990s was a very violent decade as drug wars intensified along with temporary BGD and BD wars. In the year 1994, the two gangs would war permanently, making Englewood several times more violent. The neighborhood was now in a state of three-way conflict between Gangster Disciples, Black Disciples, and Black P. Stones. Englewood is indeed the most blighted neighborhood in the city of Chicago. The landscape of Englewood is almost majority vacant land, as old ran-down buildings were long ago torn down and nothing was built in place. Many abandoned buildings and homes have been vacant for several decades, including very large mansions that have been left vacant for nearly half a century. At its peak population in 1960, over 97,000 people lived in its approximately 3 square miles, but the neighborhood's population has since dropped dramatically. In 2000, it had a population of approximately 40,000 residents, and the 2010 census indicated that its population has further declined to approximately 30,000.
I just pray for my people out in the city, so love my city, but we got to stop this, man, for real. You know, we got a lot going on. Everybody got to defend themselves, but we ain't got to defend ourselves like this. We could do better out here.
Chapter 2. Drill Era. Notable murders in Englewood. Blood Money. Mario Hess, also known as Blood Money, who was the older cousin of Chief Keef and recently signed by Interscope Records. According to his manager and cousin, Ronaldo Ruben Hess told reporters, "This was his dream and he finally got his foot in the door," said Hess. "But that's how it goes in Chicago. He really wanted to get off the streets." Police said Hess, 33, was shot and killed about 9:30 p.m. in the 5600 block of South Elizabeth Street, West Englewood on April 9, 2014. He was found lying on a sidewalk with a gunshot wound to the chest. Hess publicist, Victor Faw, told NBC Chicago the rapper was shot 10 times while on his way to a recording studio. Lil Mr. Lil Mr., cousin of Lil Durk, was shot and killed in Chicago on Friday, March 15, 2019. Born Antoine Fields, Mr. was known for contributing to Chicago's infamous drill scene. His breakout track was 2012's No Lacking. The incident happened on the south side of the city in the Englewood neighborhood. Police say the shooting occurred around 7:15 p.m. at the 7400 block of South Harvard Avenue. Mr. suffered a gunshot wound to the head. He was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. There is currently an ongoing investigation into the matter. Police are still searching for suspects. Lil JoJo. Born April 6, 1994, Joseph J. Coleman, known professionally as Lil JoJo, was an upcoming rapper from Chicago who garnered distinction in Chicago's early drill music scene. He was affiliated with a faction of the Gangster Disciples that is a rival of factions of the Black Disciples. He rose to prominence in the drill scene with his single BDK and its accompanying music video, which was a diss song to rival members that exacerbated already hostile gang disputes.
BDK! BDK!
It is believed that on Tuesday, September 4th, 2012, Lil JoJo's brother Swag dropped JoJo off at 69th and Parnell for a dice game. JoJo was then arrested for gambling and was taken to the station, where he was later released. Around 7 p.m., JoJo would tweet his location taunting his rivals. It's alleged that his ops seen the tweet and started heading to the location in 3 cars, searching the area. Lil JoJo was shot in the back when a car pulled up while he was riding a bicycle in the 6900 block of South Princeton Avenue around 7:30 p.m. He would attempt to flee on foot but collapsed. He was taken to Comer Children's Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Mubu Crump. On May 24th, 2018, Mubu Crump, a member of King Louis' Mubu Camp, was standing in front of a house in the 6800 block of South Morgan Street in the Englewood neighborhood late night into the morning when shots were fired from a car driving by. The 32-year-old was reportedly attending a party at the time of the shooting. Reports say he was shot twice in the arm and twice in the torso. He was taken to the University of Chicago Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Another man, rumored to be 051 Melly, was shot alongside Crump and was said to be taken to the hospital with serious injuries. He reportedly suffered 5 gunshot wounds to his left arm and was grazed in the head. Chapter 3. Notable Gangs and Hoods. 59th and Normal. 61st to 62nd, Wallace to Stewart, T-Town 300, formerly known as E-Town. 64th to 66th, Peoria to Halstead, AMG Mac Block HBE. 65th to 66th, Low to Union, Lowlife. 68th to 70th, Halstead to Union, Sean Money HBE. 71st to 73rd, Green to Halstead, Dog Pound HBE. 71st to 72nd, Parnell to Eggleston, Dipset Tie Gang. 57th to 59th, Morgan to Low, Shortyville, D-City. 57th from Morgan to Racine, BD Avenue. 59th and Racine, 9 Ball. 63rd to 65th, Parnell to Normal, Lamron 300. Black Disciples in Englewood around 64th and Normal. The home of rappers Lil Durk and Lil Reese. Around 64th and Normal is an area that was home to one of the first Black Disciples hoods, which was located somewhere around 63rd and Normal. Born October 19th, 1992, Dirk Derek Banks, known professionally as Lil Durk, is a rapper from the Englewood neighborhood. He is the lead member and founder of the collective and record label Only the Family, OTF. Dirk garnered a cult following with the release of his Sign to the Streets mixtape series, leading to a record deal with Def Jam Recordings. Lil Durk is a 4-time Grammy Award nominee. In 2023, Durk released Almost Healed, which peaked at number 3 and was led by the single All My Life featuring J. Cole, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and won Best Melodic Rap Performance at the 66th Annual Grammy Awards, yielding his first Grammy. On October 25th, 2024, Lil Durk was arrested in Florida on federal charges alleging that he paid for the attempted 2022 revenge killing of rapper Quando Rondo at a Los Angeles gas station, a shooting that resulted in the death of Quando's cousin Lil Pop.
Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say shot at a Savannah rapper, killing a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath. Shots fired, a fight taken to the streets, and this chaotic scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight. It all started at this mobile gas station at 5:30 Friday evening. LAPD says witnesses heard multiple gunshots, then watched a couple cars zoom off. 3 people in one car shot at this black Cadillac Escalade. It's unclear if those inside shot back.
Can I get some space, please?
It ended at Santa Monica Boulevard. Deputies found it peppered with bullet holes and a shattered window. One man inside, a member of Rondo's entourage, had been shot. The 23-year-old was taken to the hospital where he died.
Durk, 32, is charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire in the slaying of Lil Pop, 24, who was gunned down on August 19, 2022, according to an FBI affidavit. 5 other members of Dirk's Chicago-based rap collective, Only the Family, or OTF, have also been arrested, and more arrests may be forthcoming, according to court documents that have been filed. Chapter 4. Woodlawn. Woodlawn is a neighborhood on the south side of Chicago located near the shore of Lake Michigan, 8.5 miles south of the Loop. It is bounded by the lake to the east, 60th Street to the north, King Drive to the west, and 67th Street to the south. Gangs, drugs, and violence had an intense hold on the Woodlawn neighborhood in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s as most construction and renovation plans went up in smoke. Entire apartment complexes closed down and buildings were left to stand abandoned and deteriorate. Renovations and conversion attempts failed over the years as many halfway completed building projects lined the streets of the neighborhood. Woodlawn has one of the highest foreclosure rates in the city and is particularly affected by foreclosures of apartment buildings and condominium conversions. Woodlawn crime rates are 150% higher than the national average. Violent crimes in Woodlawn are 194% higher than the national average. In Woodlawn, you have a 1 in 18 chance of becoming a victim of crime. Chapter 5. O Block. In the early 2010s, gang activity skyrocketed and Parkway Gardens became the center of one of Chicago's most violent blocks. The 6400 block of South King Drive was known locally as Wick City, but began to be referred to as O Block following the 2011 murder of resident and Black Disciples member O.D. Perry, who was 20 years old. Once home to Michelle Obama, King Vaughn, and Chief Keef. Parkway Gardens Apartment Homes is an apartment complex in the area on the border of Woodlawn and Washington Park. Parkway Gardens, built from 1950 to 1955, was the last of Henry K. Halsman's many housing development designs in Chicago. T.Roy. T.Roy was a well-respected gangster and was regarded as a top hitter in O Block. He was also close friends with King Vaughn. On the morning of Tuesday, February 14, 2017, T.Roy was fatally shot in a store on the south side of Chicago. T.Roy, born James Johnson, died from injuries sustained from a gunshot wound to the chest after walking into a store in the South Shore neighborhood. He was 23 years old.
Right here, man.
Came around right here. The guy was right here. He was getting something off the shelf. Dude walked all the way around, came in his bag, shot him up. He rolled around on the floor. He ended up crawling all the way around here. Up until where my boss was, right here. This way.
Oh, so T.Roy actually crawled in there.
Right here.
Man, you ain't gonna get this nowhere, man. Say T.Roy got shot, he was getting something from over here. Say he was getting something from over here. And as the killers come through the door, and they walked up to him, remember, there was a guy right here standing with him, about right here. He was getting something like right here, and then he ended up getting shot, and he crawled all the way. He crawled all the way to here, man. So that means he was fighting. He was a strong fighter, man.
King Vaughn. Davon Daquan Bennett was born in the Parkway Gardens neighborhood of Chicago August 9, 1994. Many of his most popular songs paid tribute to Chicago. He was best known as a chronicler of street life, building narratives of tense nights on the streets and his desire to escape the gangster's mentality. King Vaughn found success in the city before relocating to Atlanta. Tragically, on November 6, 2020, Vaughn was shot and killed near the Monaco Hookah Lounge on Trinity Avenue in Atlanta. Around 2:15 a.m., a fight broke out in the parking lot between Vaughn and Quando Rondo, which sparked a shootout between two groups, according to police. He was transported to Grady Hospital in critical condition and was later pronounced dead. King Vaughn was 26 years old. The suspect was identified as 22-year-old Timothy Lil Tim Leaks, a rapper affiliated with Quando Rondo. In August 2023, charges were dropped against Leaks under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. In the controversial documentary King Vaughn, rap's first serial killer, Trap Lore Ross uses social media posts, timestamps, lyrics, and police reports to connect Vaughn to multiple murders of alleged gang members. According to the documentary, King Vaughn allegedly committed 5 murders in 2012 and 3 in 2014. In June 2018, Vaughn is said to have taken another life, before claiming his last alleged body in March 2019. O Block 6. On January 17, 2024, a federal jury in Chicago convicted 6 members or associates of a violent street gang on racketeering offenses that included the murder of Carlton Weekly, a Chicago rapper also known as FBG Duck. The 6 men arrested include Charles C. Murda Liggins, 32, Kenneth Kenny Mac Roberson, 30, Carlos Los Alford, 32, Christopher C. Thang Thomas, 24, Marcus Moop Smart, 25, and Ralph T.Z. Turpin, 34. The jury found that the defendants, all members or associates of the O Block Street Gang, participated in a criminal organization that engaged in violence to protect the gang's perceived territories on the south side of Chicago. The O Block gang publicly claimed responsibility for their violence and used social media and music to increase their criminal enterprise. The jury found that the defendants conspired to murder Weekly in order to maintain and increase their positions in the gang. Chapter 6. Drill Era. Notable murders in Woodlawn. Tuca. On January 13, 2011 at about 6:45 p.m. Shondale Gregory was shot 4 times at the westbound bus stop of 63rd Street and St. Lawrence. There, he and 2 witnesses had been approached by the gunman who'd asked if another bus were to be coming. The man then moved behind the bus shelter and shot Shondale 1 time with 4 more shots after the first one staggered him to a trash can. The police stated to CBS News that Shondale was allegedly a known gang member. After the death of Shondale, the area would become known as Tucaville. He was only 15 years old at the time of his death. Bloodhound Lil Jeff. Lil Jeff, born Jeffrey Smith, was a rising star in the hip-hop scene, known for his distinctive voice and engaging lyrics. He grew up in a challenging environment, which shaped his artistic expression and drive to succeed. Over the years, he garnered a loyal fan base that appreciated his authenticity and raw talent. On June 8, 2024, on the 6600 block of South Rhodes Avenue in Woodlawn, Bloodhound Lil Jeff was shot multiple times and transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Reports claim he was shot at least 12 to 15 times. A large number of shell casings were located at the crime scene. Lil Jeff was a former promising basketball player, turned increasingly to street life following the tragic death of a close family member. He was respected in the streets of Chicago for allegedly accumulating a shocking 11-body homicide count in a short span of time. 051 Millie. On September 1st, 2019, 051 Millie, real name Yarmel Williams, was attending a house party located at 6107 South St. Lawrence on the south side of Chicago. Millie was killed in the early hours of the morning after shots rang out during the house party. 051 Millie suffered numerous gunshot wounds to the body and was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. Police said witnesses have been uncooperative with the investigation and a description of the shooters was not available. It is alleged that 051 Millie was backdoored. He was just 27 years old at the time of his death. 051 Millie built up a reputation as a savage on the streets, with a homicide body count rumored to be in the double digits. He would become known in Chicago as the Grave Digger. Chapter 7. Washington Park. Washington Park, like Bronzeville, became one of the earliest Chicago communities to experience redlining and disinvestment along color lines, as Washington Park was becoming the third majority black community in the 1920s. Many rappers have called Washington Park home, including L.A. Capone, Fredo Santana, 600 Breezy, Rondo No. 9, Ide, and C-Day.
Police discovered a gruesome double murder in a Southside Chicago apartment today after an anonymous tip. The bodies of 57-year-old Jesse Jackson, not of Operation Push, and an unidentified young woman were found murdered at 6217 South Calumet Avenue. Jackson lived in the apartment. The woman in her mid-20s lived nearby. The bodies were tied together with electrical cord, and police say there is no sign of forced entry and no weapons were found in the room.
Starting around 1991 all the way through 2004, the Black Disciples would start running a corporate-like drug operation out of the Randolph Towers. The Randolph Towers was a Chicago Housing Authority complex at 6217 South Calumet Avenue near the intersection of 63rd Street and Calumet Avenue, also known as the Met or Calumet Building. In the 1990s, Black Disciples nicknamed the building the Castle. In the 16-story housing complex, the Black Disciples pulled in $45,000 a day in crack cocaine and heroin sales. They posted snipers on the rooftop that wore night vision goggles so they could see their enemies approaching in the dark. Along with being the biggest moneymaker for the Black Disciples, the building was also their headquarters. Upon entering, everybody was searched for weapons. Even the residents that lived there were subject to be searched by armed gang members. In May of 2004, Chicago police finally raided the building and made several arrests. Respected leader and kingpin Marvel Thompson was among 47 other Black Disciple members who would be charged in a 15-year multi-million-dollar drug scheme. Following the raid, the building would be demolished, which fully ceased operations.
This what? This what for?
Oh, stomping ground. Do your homework, man.
What used to happen right here?
I don't even know nothing about this area, man. Look, let's just start here, man. This where it all started at, man. Calumet building, man. Do your homework on the buildings right here. Look, do your homework on little kids. Do your homework on the big kids' playground used to be over here. Look, bro. Let's start there.
this was like the back of the building on Fulton Gray. Do your homework on the back of the building. Do your homework. Used to be in the back shooting dice back here. Let's start there. Bro, you'd be able to come back and it's like they took what was here. So all I could do is tell the stories. It's just a memory at this point. Like all I could do is tell the story. And we could, like this store wasn't even Save-A-Lot. This was Vito's. Let's just start there on this one.